All right, so picture this. In a really beautiful part of Taiwan, there's a school called Dapo Elementary. And from the outside, it looks perfect. Great campus, amazing views. But for a long time, the students knew something was off. Something weird was going on.
So what do you do when strange things start happening at your school? Well, these kids actually started their own investigation, and their number one question was pretty simple. Is our school haunted? And you know, when you hear the evidence they came up with, you can kind of see why they asked.
Okay, first up, chairs were moving by themselves. I'm not kidding. In some of the classrooms, you could take a chair with wheels, put it right in the center of the room, let it go, and it would just slowly, creepily glide all the way to one side of the room, totally on its own.
Then there were the doors. Just locking up at the end of the day became this huge struggle for everyone. The door frames had gotten so twisted and warped over the years that the locks just wouldn't line up anymore. You had to do this whole special jiggle and a hard shove just to get them to close.
But the biggest, most bizarre piece of evidence was out on the playground. There was a slide that seemed to be growing. Yeah, you heard that right. Every single year, it felt just a little bit taller, the ladder just a little bit steeper. I mean, how in the world does a playground slide get taller?
Well, the students were definitely right about one thing. There was an invisible, powerful force moving things all around their school. It just wasn't a ghost. It was something way, way bigger and a whole lot more powerful.
And here's the culprit, the Qishang Fault. This is a major active fault line. Think of it as a huge crack in the Earth's surface where two tectonic plates are grinding against each other. And as luck would have it, Dapo Elementary School was built right on top of it.
So the school is literally being pulled in two different directions. The playground, for instance, is sitting on the giant Eurasian plate, but the school buildings up on the hillside, they're on the Philippine Sea plate. So we're talking about two continent-sized slabs of rock in a constant slow-motion collision happening right under their feet.
And just how fast is this happening? The ground is moving about 2 to 3 centimeters every single year. To put that in perspective, that's about the same speed your fingernails grow. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But over decades, that slow, relentless movement is more than enough to warp buildings, crack walls, and yeah, make those chairs slide across the room.
So pretty quickly, the students went from being ghost hunters to total geology nerds. They realized their school wasn't haunted, it was unique. As one kid explained it, there's a staircase on campus where you can literally stand with one foot on one tectonic plate and the other foot on another. How amazing is that?
So, what do you do when you find out your school is being slowly ripped apart by the planet itself? Do you just abandon it? Well, Dapo Elementary decided to take a very different path.
Instead of running away from the fault line, they decided to lean into it. They basically transformed their school from what could have been a disaster zone into one of the world's best living, breathing geology labs.
They created this incredible fault education program. For these students, geology isn't some boring topic in a textbook. They actually live it. They go out and observe the faults movement, they run serious disaster drills, and they even get trained to become little docents, expert student guides for their one-of-a-kind campus.
And these student guides are the real deal. They lead tours for scientists and tourists from all over the world. You'll hear one of them explain the mystery of the growing slide, pointing out with a little bit of a joke that as the plates push together, the ground under the slide gets lifted up, making it taller every year.
And the tour doesn't stop there. They'll take you over to a drainage ditch that was built perfectly straight, but now it's got this obvious S-shaped bend right in the middle. As another student will tell you, that crack, that bend, that's the hard evidence of those 2 to 3 centimeters of movement year after year after year.
Now, of course, it's not just the school sitting on this fault line. The entire town of Qishang has learned what it means to live on the edge, constantly adapting to a landscape that's always shifting beneath them.
You can see the fault signature just about everywhere you look. It cuts right through farm fields, it puts cracks in the walls of houses, it even pushes up the concrete floors inside people's homes. This is not some abstract idea here. It is a visible, tangible part of daily life.
So you have to wonder, isn't it terrifying to live there? But when you ask the residents, you get a really surprising answer. They explain that because their fault is a creeping fault, one that's always moving and releasing tiny bits of energy, they don't get that huge buildup of pressure that causes catastrophic earthquakes in other parts of the world.
So why not just move away? Well, for the people here, the answer is pretty simple. One resident put it perfectly.
There's an emotional bond to the land. This is their home. It's not so easy to just up and leave. So instead, they've learned to adapt, to patch the cracks, and to just coexist with the Earth.
So really, the story of Dapu Elementary is so much more than just a cool geology lesson. It's really a profound lesson in resilience, in adaptation, and in how we can choose to live with the powerful forces of our planet.
It's just a beautiful story arc, isn't it? A mystery that started with kids whispering about ghosts in the hallways, completely transformed into this world-renowned real-world science lesson that gives students knowledge instead of fear.
This whole story really boils down to this one fundamental question. When you're faced with an overwhelming force of nature, something you absolutely can't stop or control, what do you do? Well, the people at Qishang and the students of Dapo Elementary have given us a pretty powerful answer. They didn't declare war on the fault line. They didn't try to conquer it. Instead, they studied it, they understood it, and they turned what could have been a threat into a lifeline of learning, not just for themselves, but for the entire world.